The clatter of forks against plates, the murmur of polite conversation, the gentle hum of a well-oiled machine, that's usually the soundtrack to a Friday night at the Gilded Spoon, our city's most exclusive restaurant. I've worked here for 5 years, seen it all, served it all. From hushed proposals to boisterous business deals, I thought I was immune to surprises. Until tonight. It started like any other evening. The rush was on, and I was juggling a demanding table of socialites with a quiet, discerning couple in the corner. Then he arrived. Mr. Harrison Thorne. You know the type, tailored suit that probably cost more than my annual salary, a face etched with an air of perpetual dissatisfaction, and an ego that could fill the entire dining room. He owned half the downtown high-rises and had a reputation for treating service staff like furniture. He was alone tonight, which usually meant he was in an even worse mood. I braced myself. "Good evening, Mr. Thorne," I said, offering my most practiced neutral smile. "Welcome back to the Gilded Spoon. Can I get you something to start?" He didn't even look up from his phone. "Sparkling water. And I'm waiting for an important call, so don't hover." His voice was a low growl, barely audible over the general din, but laced with a cutting edge that was unmistakable. I nodded, got his water, and tried to give him space. But the night was busy, and I had other tables to attend to. When I next approached, about 10 minutes later, to ask if he was ready to order, that's when it began. He slammed his hand on the table, a sharp crack that silenced the immediate vicinity. "Are you deaf, girl? I told you not to hover. This is a Michelin-starred restaurant, not a cheap diner where you rush people." His voice was loud now, echoing slightly in the high-ceilinged room. Heads started to turn. My heart began to pound, a familiar, unwelcome rhythm. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. "I apologize, Mr. Thorne. I was just checking if you were ready to order." I tried to keep my voice even, but a slight tremor betrayed me. "Ready to order? I'm ready for some peace and quiet. And for competent service. Do you even know who I am?" He stood up, towering over me, his face a furious red. He gestured wildly with his hand, nearly knocking over his water glass. "You people are all the same. Entitled, inefficient, thinking you deserve a tip for doing the bare minimum." The entire restaurant had gone silent. You could literally hear a pin drop. Every eye was on us. My colleagues were frozen, some with their mouths slightly agape. I could feel the weight of their pity, the shame of being publicly humiliated. My vision blurred slightly, tears pricking at my eyes. I'd been yelled at before, but never like this, never with such venom, such a blatant disregard for my dignity. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to scream back. But years of training, years of swallowing my pride, kept me rooted to the spot. Then, Sarah stepped forward. Sarah. She's newer to the team, only been here about 6 months. She's quiet, observant, and has this gentle way about her. She's usually the one I'm teaching, the one I'm guiding. But tonight, she was different. She moved with a calm assurance that I hadn't seen in her before. She walked directly to Mr. Thorne, not rushing, not hesitating. She didn't look angry, or scared, or even particularly bothered. She just looked calm. She placed her hand, ever so gently, on his arm, the way you might steady a child. Everyone held their breath. What was she doing? Was she going to apologize on my behalf? Was she going to try to de-escalate? She looked him directly in the eye, her gaze steady and unwavering. Her voice, when it came, was soft, but it carried across the stunned silence of the room. It was clear, precise, and utterly devoid of fear. "Sir," she said, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife through butter, "my mother passed away this morning." The words hung in the air, heavy and unexpected. And just like that, the whole restaurant froze. It wasn't a yell, or a challenge, or a demand. It was a simple, stark statement of profound personal grief. It stripped away all the pretense, all the anger, all the bravado. It exposed the raw, vulnerable human beneath the polished exterior of the Gilded Spoon. Mr. Thorne, who just moments before was a raging inferno, faltered. His face, still red, began to drain of color. His jaw, which had been clenched so tight, visibly slackened. His arm, where Sarah's hand still rested, seemed to deflate. The furious glint in his eyes dimmed, replaced by something unreadable, perhaps shock, perhaps shame. He just stood there, speechless. Sarah didn't elaborate. She didn't explain why she was still at work, why she hadn't gone home. She didn't need to. The implication was clear. She was here, doing her job, serving a demanding public, even as her world had crumbled around her. And he, in his privileged rage, had just subjected her, and me, to this public spectacle. The silence in the restaurant deepened, becoming almost sacred. It was no longer the shocked silence of a spectacle, but the reverent hush of shared humanity. People started looking at their laps, at their plates, anywhere but at Mr. Thorne. The shame was palpable, not just from him, but from everyone who had witnessed his outburst. After what felt like an eternity, Mr. Thorne slowly, carefully, sat back down. He didn't look at Sarah, or at me, or at anyone. He just stared at his hands, folded tightly on the pristine white tablecloth. His shoulders, which had been rigid with anger, sagged. Sarah, still calm, removed her hand from his arm. She didn't say another word. She simply turned and walked away, towards the kitchen, her back straight. I watched her go, a lump forming in my throat. The rest of the night was subdued. Mr. Thorne paid his bill in silence, leaving an unusually generous tip for the entire staff, not just me. He didn't make eye contact with anyone. He just left. Later, in the break room, I found Sarah, quietly packing her bag. Her eyes were red and puffy, and it was clear she'd been crying, probably for hours before she even came to work. "Sarah," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion, "I am so sorry about your mother. And thank you for what you did out there." She just nodded, a fragile, sad smile on her face. "It's okay, Anna. I couldn't let him talk to you like that. Not tonight." Her simple act of courage, born from her deepest pain, had done more than just silence a billionaire. It had revealed the fragility of human existence, the invisible burdens we all carry, and the profound power of empathy. It was a lesson for Mr. Thorne, yes, but also for me, for everyone in that restaurant. It reminded us that beneath the fancy clothes and the exclusive dining rooms, we are all just people, navigating our own struggles, often in silence. And sometimes, a single honest sentence is all it takes to make the world stop, listen, and remember what truly matters. It taught me that genuine strength isn't about how loud you can yell, but how quietly you can remind someone of their own humanity. It was a powerful, unforgettable lesson in dignity, empathy, and the quiet heroism of everyday people.